Good evening. I'm Brenda Rao, a member of the League of Women Voters of Eastern Carver County. On behalf of the League of Women Voters, I would like to welcome you to the Minnesota Senate District 17 Candidate Forum. We thank all the candidates in the audience for attending tonight and our online audience for viewing. The League of Women Voters does not support or oppose a political party or a candidate for office. The League of Women Voters Eastern Carver County has a long-standing history in our community of providing unbiased candidate and issue information that is widely used by Minnesota voters regardless of their political beliefs. Sponsorship of this forum is a public service providing you with an opportunity to hear the candidates discuss important issues face to face. The views expressed here tonight are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters. League of Women Voters posts complete unedited recordings of the forums. Excerpts or edited clips of the candidates may not be used for partisan political purposes. There's never enough time to cover all the issues. If you feel that your question wasn't addressed, please contact the candidate directly after the forum. Now I would like to introduce our moderator, Sarah Carlson. Sarah is a trained moderator and member of the League of Women Voters of Eastern Carver County. I'll turn it over to Sarah.
Thank you, Brenda. Good evening. All candidates for the Minnesota Senate District 17 were invited to participate, and that's the two of you. Candidates attending and participating tonight are Glenn Gruhagen and Julie Kelzer. Each candidate will be given 1.5 minutes for their opening statement. Opening statements will begin with candidate Gruhagen. Our candidates will answer questions from the voters. The order of answering questions will be rotated. Candidates will be given up to 1 minute to respond to the questions. Depending upon the complexity of the question, I may announce more time or less time. Please note our timekeepers, Anne and Kim, who have a 30-second and a 15-second sign. They also have a stop sign, or will call time to be sure each candidate has the full time to respond. We hope the questions will be submitted by the audience. Again, as a gentle reminder, please write your question and hold up your card, and our volunteers will pick up the card for you. Our first candidate question will go to candidate Gruhagen.
We got to introduce her.
I'm sorry. This is why we have spur of the moment, things can change. How about we begin with our opening remarks? And we'll begin with candidate Gruhagen.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having this forum. I think it's an important election coming up, and obviously to inform the public on the positions that we take as candidates is extremely important. The other thing I'd just like to say a little bit about myself. I'm married. My beautiful wife, Emily, is here. My number 1 supporter, number 2 supporter, number 3 supporter. No, she's and corrector. But also, I served in the Marine Corps for 2 years, so I'm a veteran. I own an independent insurance agency that I started from scratch, Gruhagen Insurance and Financial Services. It's located in Glencoe. Serve about 1,000 customers, have 3 secretaries and 3 agents besides myself, including my wife. I was raised on a dairy farm, and we've got 3 children and 5 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. The other thing I'd just like to say, let's start out with something positive. As far as 212 going to 4 lanes, I worked with Scott Newman, went to the meetings here in Chaska for 9 years to get the funding for the 212 in. Also, I was able to obtain through the bonding bill about $6 million to address the flooding here in the city of Carver, which your mayor, Courtney Johnson, was extremely happy about. I will finish everything else later.
Hi, I'm Julie Kelzer, and I would like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum. I'm running because people deserve a choice, so I chose to step up and be that choice. The median age of our district is 40.9, and I fit right into that age group. I care about our children and grandchildren's futures. Policies made now will affect us and them. My top priorities are healthcare, including rural access to specialists, expanding telehealth, and greater access to mental health care. Affordability, healthcare, housing, childcare, food, and energy costs are continually rising, and my bank account can't continue to afford it. Something has to change for the better. Education, teachers deserve a living wage. English as a second language program needs expansion. Home learning proved that. Staffing and funds for special needs students cannot be decreased any further. Budget cuts have been devastating to school districts, and it's affecting our children. Small businesses, including home daycares and local farmers, have the same tax rate as corporations and large businesses without tax breaks and loopholes. Corporations should be paying their fair share like everyone else. I'm a mother to a 20-year-old and a 9-year-old. I have noticed the difference in education with an 11-year gap. I've been in the customer service industry since I was 14, including salon management, where I had to organize, lead, and coordinate stylists to have our salon running efficiently. Problem solving, clear communication, and encouragement were needed every day. During the pandemic, the salon franchise was sold yet again. Each sale meant more work. I had this lined up for 2 minutes.
Okay, so you're familiar with the stop question, or the stop card. All right.
It's
So
not
we'll-
red, though.
We'll begin our first question with you, Candidate Kelzer. What would be your primary legislative priority for this upcoming session?
Definitely affordability and taxes. We cannot afford to keep having taxes raised. The state budget, there's got to be something in there that can be cut. Schools have had to make tough cuts that have hurt students, so I think the state could make cuts and put it into the programs that are necessary to help the people.
Okay, thank you.
My top priority would be healthcare, education, and also the Green New Deal. I oppose the Green New Deal. I consider it to be a scam. With the Green New Deal, you're supporting two systems: the wind and the solar, and also the base load. That's why your electricity rates keep going up. And I'm on the Energy Committee. The agency testified last session that 36% of Minnesotans cannot afford or are struggling to afford their electricity bill. Okay, so the DFL came up with the solution of subsidizing low-income people to help them pay their electric bill. It reminds me of Obamacare. If you like your health insurance premiums, you're going to love your electricity rates under the Green New scam. It doesn't help the environment. It's going to be an environmental disaster to clean up eventually with the windmills and the solar, and there's a host of other problems that it's not baseload electricity. Also, I know there's a lot of people who would like to see bipartisanship, and one of the ways you get bipartisanship is if you grew government equal or slower than the private sector. When the DFL had complete control, they grew government at almost 40%. Plus, they raised taxes another 9 to 10 billion. They're an expense on the private sector. Did your income go up 40%? And yet that's what they voted through. They blew the whole budget plus raised taxes. $18 billion of budget surplus blowing down, much of it fraud. Thank you.
Candidate Grunhagen, this question will come to you first. How would your process be, if any, to the counties that have extra costs because of Medicaid and food stamp recertifications that are required by the federal government?
I would simply add there's a lot of state mandates onto the counties too. In fact, the last session, the DFL tried to shift an additional $460 million to the counties. They've also passed several unfunded mandates that are going to drive up your property taxes exponentially. We've got to stop this. If they want to mandate certain things, and some of it is unnecessary, if I had time, I'd go into it. But what you've got to understand, it should be passed as optional. If a county wants to implement it, fine. But see, we have this mentality at the state, we know better than the counties, the cities, and the school districts. I mean, we passed 65 unfunded mandates to the school districts, okay? Many of them unfunded. Again, if they're not funded, it should be optional to your local government and your schools. If it works out and it helps them, they'll implement it. If not, they don't implement it. But see, the mentality up there is, we know better, we're going to ram it down your throat, whether it's the Green New scam in education, in counties, property taxes. And we have a habit, especially the DFL, and again, at times Republicans can be guilty of this too, of mandating things without funding them. If you're not going to fund them, then make it optional. And that way, local control, which is what I believe in, can decide if, when, and how much they want to do. Thank you.
Would you like for me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
How would your process be, if any, to the counties that have extra costs because of Medicaid and food stamp recertifications that are required by the federal government?
That's a tough one. I've been meeting with superintendents and finding out even what some of the programs that have been passed with the unemployment for paras, the Paid Family Leave Act, and the universal meals is doing to the school budgets. The schools are having to take that out of their budget, which is hurting them and then in turn hurting the students. They're great ideas, but they were not thought out well, and the consequences weren't thought through as to where the funding would come from, because the schools were not funded additionally in order to follow all of these things. Kind of agree with Glenn. Some of the mandates should be optional. Well, the funding is what needs to be considered. I know, well, that's a different topic, but some of the regulations are hurting businesses and all sorts of things, and they need to be adjusted and looked at an individual basis. Corporations and large businesses should have no problem paying their fair share. Well, then the rest of us wouldn't continue to suffer or lose our businesses.
Our next question will begin with you, Ms. Kelzer. Do you support the Minnesota Equal Rights Amendment? Why or why not?
Yes, everyone should have equal rights. We shouldn't have to be walking around living in fear over what we believe or what we wear or how we act. It just comes down to respecting everybody. And it's important that we all have equal rights. A lot of people have had to fight for theirs, including women, in order to be able to vote. So yes, treating people equally is very important to me.
Thank you. Do you support the Minnesota Equal Rights Amendment? Why or why not?
No, not as drafted. The way it is drafted, it's going to have gender identity and gender expression, along with, some people believe, some staff believe, it would mandate abortion right up to the moment of birth, which the DFL passed when they were in complete control. So what you have, we have plenty of laws. I believe in human rights and equality, but on the other hand, this is not addressing that. This is trying to ram an anti-biology, anti-child agenda down our throats again through the Equal Rights Amendment. It should be opposed by both of us. There is no necessity for the way it's written, okay? It has major problems, and I would strongly oppose that. And again, we don't want boys in girls' sports. We don't want boys going into their bathrooms or their private sectors, and we don't want to put minor children, which I had an amendment to prohibit, which unfortunately the DFL voted down. We didn't put on cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and then mutilating surgery. That is child abuse. And fortunately, many states are addressing it. Here in Minnesota, the DFL and Governor Walz still want to promote that child abuse to our children, and I will not stand for it, and I'll continue to speak out for the protection of women.
Candidate Grunhager, our next question will come to you first. What do you see as the biggest issues facing rural Minnesotans, and how would you propose the Minnesota State Legislature address those issues?
Well, one of the biggest issues we face in this state is fraud, okay? And the fraud not being addressed, unfortunately, although this last session, I did get a good anti-fraud bill passed to address some of it. It was effective July 1. But the reason fraud, we're talking about $9 billion to $19 billion that have disappeared. And the thing is, you could do a lot with that money positively, including cutting taxes, address roads and bridges, address our schools. You know, Julie said about these unfunded mandates with paid leave. Right now, paid leave is paid out twice as much money as what is brought in. It's another boondoggle. I was on the school board for 16 years. The last 6 years, I was chief negotiator with the certified staff. That's where negotiations belong, not by a one-size-fits-all by the state mandating this cost down here. So again, it's a step in the wrong direction. It's being abused in many situations, and really our small businesses are hurting financially under it, along with our school districts. So please, regardless of your political persuasion, this has to be modified or repealed. If you don't like the benefits your employer gives you, guess what you do? You switch jobs. I've done it several times in my life. You don't go to the state and ask them to mandate that and put small businesses out of business. Thank you.
Candidate Kelzer, would you like for me to repeat the question?
Yes, please.
What do you see as the biggest issues facing rural Minnesotans, and how would you propose the Minnesota State Legislature address those issues?
Well, first off, we're at 2.1% for a fraud rate in Minnesota, and that is some of the lowest in the country. Healthcare, we need to have access for healthcare. Mental health care, telehealth, specialists are all a drive away. I've had people talk to me about EMT services in the rural areas that are lacking because people aren't going into it anymore because of the lower pay. Housing is a big one. Median home price in Hutchinson right now is $400,000. That's a massive cost for a family looking to get into a home. Education, that has to be funded in an appropriate way, especially with the federal budget cuts. And then our tax rates for the small businesses and the local farmers need to be adjusted because they're paying their full share. And the corporations and large businesses, as we all know, basically some pay nothing. And so if we had them paying their fair share, that's going to help fund schools or some of the other programs that we need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So our next question, Candidate Kelzer, is what is the role of the Minnesota legislature, if any, in data center development around the state?
That's a good one. I know how I feel about them and where they're being placed. As far as I know right now, you can correct me if I'm wrong when you go. I don't think there are too many state regulations around them concerning noise, water, and electric consumption. There's huge ones proposed in Chaska, right by school, and a home development. It needs to be regulated, and we need to make sure that they're not making our energy costs go up and making it unbearable for us to live with the noise. I've never heard one, but I hear that they are terrible to listen to 24/7 because they never turn off. And we all need water. Can't live without it.
Thank you. Candidate Gruenhagen, what is the role of the Minnesota legislature, if any, in data center development around the state?
Yeah, we do need a certain amount of regulations. However, for some reason, the state likes to overregulate. And I have been exposed to the data centers out in Glencoe. Happen to have a brother-in-law who lives right across the street from a data center in Glencoe. he is not happy, okay, because of the noise. They did do a decibel study. I think 50 is the decibel that's legal. He was at like 51 or 52. They're also adding another one. So we definitely have to keep data centers away from residential areas. They should be located on non-farm land if they are. And secondly, they have solved the water problem. I'm on the energy committee. That was one of my big concerns, was the water consumption. They now have like a radiator in a car to recycle that water, and they don't use excessive water. They are coming. We happen to be in a cold climate. You know, Al Gore's prediction of going to 80 degrees in January hasn't happened yet, but just on a side note, so they don't drive up electricity rates. I know the municipal manager, Dave Meyer in Glencoe, the data center electricity use and their payment actually keeps electricity rates lower in Glencoe than if it wasn't there. So they have the potential to be a boon to counties and cities if properly cited and regulated, and they generate huge revenue for those cities and counties. Oh, sorry.
Our next question will begin with you.
Oh, okay.
I'll wait for the swallow of water.
Oh, okay. Thank you. You're very polite.
We've always got to talk twice in a row.
Yeah, I know.
As a member of the legislative body, do you support the city of Carver's plans to build a levee?
Yes, absolutely. And again, I just repeat, I got $6 million put into the bonding bill, and I was the main instigator to that in the Senate. In fact, if you call Courtney or talk to Courtney, I used to call her because there's always a lot of schism or whatever for the bonding bill. And I finally got it in there. So I remember calling Courtney and saying, Courtney, we got the $6 million into the bonding bill. Please don't exhale, okay? It might go away, because things can be in there and all of a sudden they're gone. Now, Courtney did ask me for some additional money. I almost had it in the bonding bill, but then the governor showed up. He wanted $40 million for Roy Wilkins Auditorium, which I consider to be a want, not a need. I consider this a need. And so a lot of small projects, including the one for Carver, got bumped out.
Candidate Kelzer. Repeat the question. As a member of the legislative body, do you support the city of Carver's plans to build a levee?
I don't know anything about the levy with everything else I've been investigating, but if they feel that it's a need, yes, I would support it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I use her time? No. I'm sorry, Julie.
It gets added on to my next answer.
Candidate Kelzer, what would you do as a member of the legislature to ensure taxpayer dollars are spent as intended?
Number one, our software systems need upgrading. They look like when I went to school and played Oregon Trail on it and are pixelated. If it was newer, there could be technology built in to help catch fraud right away as it's applying. As we know, humans can't catch everything. We're not superhumans, and we need to have software that is used to double check everything. And there's so much stuff that is needed for different programs to prove your eligibility. So start there and get everything upgraded and go from there, because we need our money where it belongs, not in someone else's pocket.
Thank you. Candidate Gruhagen, what would you do as a member of the legislature to ensure taxpayer dollars are spent as intended?
Okay, this is where we're at. Okay, and this is whether you're independent, Republican, or Democrat. We had over 30 government workers in DHS. I'm on HS committee, so there's like 14 agencies of fraud. We had over 30 whistleblowers come forward over a period of years saying, hey, I think there's fraud with these NGOs, these non-governmental organizations. The problem is, were they listened to? No, they were persecuted and their families were threatened. I'm sorry to have to say this, but we have a criminal cartel running this state, the Walz administration, along with Ellison. They're not prosecuting what they should be. That's why we had to get the federal government involved. They're a disaster. They're allowing the fraud. We need to get this stopped. We're talking about not millions, we're talking about billions of dollars, okay? That don't get to the people who really need it, children, disabled, and a host of others. And quite frankly, it irritates me to no end. Oh, thank you.
We'll switch gears a little bit. Candidate Gruenhagen, are there changes to the Minnesota law that you would support or oppose regarding Title IX and sports?
Not change. We should obey Title IX. In fact, we had a letter, I think it was signed by over 200 administrators, most of them superintendents and principals, that came to us up in the legislature that said, that was addressed to Governor Walz and the DFL. It said, please obey Title IX. You're threatening federal funding for our schools. You know, right now we have about $2 billion of Medicaid money that is frozen to the state of Minnesota because of the fraud. And I have hammered on this over and over and over again. You're hurting the people that really need it. Let's cooperate with the federal government, not fight them. And let's get rid of this fraud and help the people who really need it. Unfortunately, the Walz administration is doing just the opposite, along with Keith Ellison. They need to be removed. Thank you.
Candidate Kelzer, are there changes to the Minnesota law that you would support or oppose regarding Title IX and sports?
I've had a few people talk to me about these things, and I've looked into the medications that minors are able to receive. Full effects take 6 months to a year. And so should they be playing sports during this medical transitioning time? No, because they're not fully there. But after they've been on them for a year and testosterone's gone, or they've started to develop breasts, if they're transitioning to wanting to be a woman, that would then be different. And then they should be able to. But if they just want to dress that way and aren't actually on the hormones to change themselves for a long enough time, then no, because I've heard of some people getting hurt from it in sports.
Okay. We'll begin with you, Ms. Kelzer. As a member of the legislature, what measures, if any, would you support to reinforce or ensure voter confidence in our elections?
That's a tough one. I talked with a lot of independent voters and how they were feeling about it. We have to do something to trust elections again. That's for sure. I know the vouching system has been brought up where you can vouch for up to 8 people, from what I was being told. And 8 seems excessive, that you would all be there at one time. I don't know the solution on how to make people more comfortable with it. It would definitely be input from everybody, and we come up with a solution together.
Okay. Candidate Gruenhagen, as a member of the legislature, what measures, if any, would you support to reinforce or ensure voter confidence in our elections?
Well, I've been a chief author and co-author of voter ID in the state of Minnesota, and yet the Democrats have consistently opposed it. Not, you know, I will give Governor Dayton, former Governor Dayton, a little credit. He would not sign an election bill unless it was bipartisan. Unfortunately, Governor Walz signs election bills that weaken our integrity in our elections that are simply partisan. Not one Republican votes for it. Under his leadership, they've given driver's license, just like you have, to illegals. They've opposed voter ID. They've registered 16-year-olds automatically, whether legal or illegal, to vote, okay, as soon as they're 18. And they've done they've eliminated addresses. You don't have to have an address anymore. You can just say, I live under a bench or a overpass at 494 and 100. I mean, this is ridiculous. They've gutted the integrity in our system, and they've opposed any type of integrity. So Governor Walz is, okay, all right. I think you get the point.
I think we're going to switch gears now and go into our closing statement time for both of you. So we'll begin with candidate Gruhagen. So you'll have a minute and a half for your closing statement.
Okay, thank you. Thank everybody for being here and also watching on TV. Please get involved and research these issues, okay? You can contact me or Julie or state parties on either side and find out that perspective. The other thing I'd simply say again, let's protect our women and young girls, all right? Let's obey the federal laws that are causing federal tax dollars in Medicaid, Title IX, or others that are being withheld from our state. We need to cooperate with the federal government and what the federal law is. Those laws were passed by Republicans and Democrats, mostly bipartisan, and signed into law. We should not be fighting against them and hurting the people who really need it. The children that are hungry, the disabled, the ones we all want to help. Please get involved, regardless of which side of the aisle you're on. And let's help the people that need it and cooperate with the federal government. The other thing I'd leave you with is, again, you'd see a lot more bipartisanship down there if we grew government at a rate equal or slightly slower than the private sector. We grew it at 40% when the Democrats were in control. Did your income go up 40%? If it didn't, you got to pay the taxes in to cover it. You do more damage than good when you grow government at that rate. They blew an $18 billion deficit and raised taxes another $9 to $10 billion. That's an expense that drives up your food, your education, your cars. Please get involved. Okay.
Thank you. Candidate Kelzer.
Thank you to everyone who took the time out of their day to come here or watch the live stream, and to the League of Women Voters for organizing this opportunity. I will stand up for the people over the party. Making living affordable again is my top priority. We should be thriving, not struggling to survive. Affordable health care, including access in rural areas without having to drive to the cities. Mental health care access is lacking statewide. Specialists can be over an hour away or more, and it isn't possible for everyone to travel that far. Our children deserve a quality education. Budget cuts are damaging their educations. Affordable housing, childcare, food, and energy costs are all things we should agree matter for our daily lives to be better. Renters shouldn't have to pay the landlord a monthly fee in order to have their rent reported as being paid on time. Rent is more than a mortgage in most cases, and if credit was being built while renting, more people would qualify for the first-time homebuyers program. Home child care providers have had more regulations put on them, causing them to make some tough choices and close. Daycare centers are the winners and unaffordable to many. Farmers deserve to keep their land in the family. Their money is mainly in liquid assets, not cash on hand. We need a Minnesota that works for all of us, not just a few. I'm ready to start the tough work to make that a reality by representing you in our Senate. Compromising is not something we see often today, and it needs to become the norm. We need elected officials that work for and represent us. I was taught that government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. I would love the opportunity to bring that to our district.
Thank you. I would like to remind you that the views expressed in this forum are those of the candidates and not those of the League of Women Voters. Sponsorship of this forum is not an endorsement of any candidates by Eastern Carver County League of Women Voters. And now for our closing, here is Brenda Rao.
Thanks, Sarah. The League of Women Voters would like to thank you all for coming tonight and our online audience for viewing. We especially like to thank our candidates for being part of the democratic process and running for office and for being willing to serve our communities. Finally, we thank our facility hosts and our members here for volunteering tonight. We would like to inform you about a proposed constitutional amendment regarding increasing funding to school districts that will appear on the ballot in November. On the ballot, the question reads, shall the Minnesota Constitution be amended to increase the funding going to all school districts from the Permanent School Fund, which is a fund that supports school districts without raising individual income or property taxes? This would go into effect on July 1st, 2027. Failure to vote on a constitutional amendment will have the same effect as voting no on the amendment. For more information on this, you can search on constitutional amendments on the Minnesota Secretary of State website and view a full text of the proposed amendments. The League studies issues important to our members and to the health of our communities. If you are interested in finding out more about what we do and how you can also make a difference, you can go to our League email, lwvecc@lwvmn.org. Membership is open to all people, men and women, ages 16 and older. Individual, household, and student memberships are available. You can find more information about the candidates and about voting at mnvotes.gov and vote411.org. This forum has been recorded and the link will be available on the League of Women Voters Eastern Carver County Facebook page. Thank you for coming, and remember to vote on November 3rd. The forum for Minnesota House District 17B will begin shortly.